Hello friends, welcome to JDBC Tutorials. In this video tutorial, we are going to talk about one of the very important database interview question, and that is what are SQL constraints and its different types. Yeah. So let's try to understand all the concept related to SQL constraints, and next video onwards we'll explore this concept through an example. Yeah. So first of all, let's try to understand what is SQL constraint in database. And here is the answer. SQL constraints are rules used to limit the type of data that can go into a table to maintain the accuracy and integrity of the data inside table. Or in other words, you can say while creating a database table, we can also define the integrity constraints. Integrity constraints ensure the integrity of the data, the correctness and completeness of the information with respect to the application here. So that's the definition of SQL constraint or integrity constraint. Now, when we talk about the SQL constraints in database, then there are various types of SQL constraints we can define. First of all, we would like to talk about the not null. So here, not null constraint ensures that column cannot have a null value, right? So if you define a column and you provide as a not null constraint, then nobody can insert null values in that column. Yeah. Now next constraint is unique. This constraint basically ensures that all values in a column are unique or different. Yeah. Now next constraint we have a primary key. Basically this constraint is a combination of not null and unique, and which is used to uniquely identifies each row in a table. Yeah. Now next constraint is foreign key. This constraint basically uniquely identifies a row or record in another table. Yeah. Now next we have a check constraint. Check constraints basically we use to ensure that all values in a column satisfies a specific condition. Now last but not the least, we have a default constraints, and these constraints basically used to set a default value for a column when no value is specified, right? So when you are trying to insert a row in a table, and if some column if you omit, right, you do not make the part of the insert statement, you do not basically specify that column value in insert query, then default value you might set, right? That's the default constraints. Apart from the constraints can be divided into two types or two categories, you can say. First, column level constraints, and second, table level constraint. Now let's talk about the column level constraint. Column level constraints basically limits only column data, means that applies that constraint applies only on the column level. Or you can say column level constraints refer to a single column in a table and do not specify a column name. So while basically defining column constraints, you do not specify basically column name, right, except check constraints. When you use check constraints as a column constraint, then you need to specify the column name as well. Now next we have a table level constraints. So table level constraints basically applies limits on whole table data, or another words you can say table level constraints refer to one or more columns in a table. Table level constraints specify the names of the columns to which they apply. Table level check constraints can refer to 0 or more columns in the table. So here what basically I'm trying to say, so when you define a table level constraint, then you need to specify the column names, right? On which column names you are going to basically applies your constraints. So, explicitly you will have to specify the column names, right? When you use check constraints as a column level constraints, then you can specify 0 or more columns. So guys, that's all I have in this video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video. From next video onwards, we'll explore all these constraints, SQL constraints, one by one through an example, so that it will be more clear. Thank you so much.